I'm gonna get him.
Which map are we starting on?
I think Wormy.
Yeah. Yeah. Swings and Ishii and Fly as this up, and Swerve and Jamono and Russia as OSAP.
Oh, almost gonna get my minutes. Watch out. Are you saying Yum wrong, or is it actually Jam?
I mean, Jam.
It's
This.
We don't have jump on the team.
Yeah, because I get confused every
They
time.
do have Jam.
Oh, yeah. Played yesterday, didn't you? To red?
Oh, you're streaming, nice. Piggy, is the stream ready? Yeah, tell me so, cause I'm gonna launch. Just say whenever the stream is ready. What, sorry? What did you say, sorry? It's on. Okay, I'll launch then.
Three, two, one. 3, 2, 1. Three, two, one. 3, 2, 1.
Ideal.
A kiss. They're gonna get him here. Oh, Piggy!
Oh my
He
god.
absolutely embarrasses
No.
Debs. Oh my god!
Wow.
Piggy has been on fire this game.
I was
Oh, that's
like,
a cap. He gets the cap for his due.
Play of the
oh
week.
my god. Debs
we just had Debs and Cole there,
Debs just got absolutely rinsed.
but both of them were just, their OD was to sit in midfield. It was pretty grim.
Oh, Piggy gets a tag for as well. Okay, then gets top of Juice.
Berlin walks into a gate,
This is a rough start to the second half.
and again, oh dear.
This is not what. Oh, Sig and OK then. They combine it. Oh, I should have gone straight. Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay then. Oh, I can't get out. Flicks left in outrage.
Yeah!
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah! Yeah!
3, 2, 1.
Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
Tonight on Panorama, we expose the secret world of tax havens.
It's very easy for criminals, tax evaders, money launderers to go and take that secrecy and hide their behaviour behind it.
An enormous leak of confidential documents reveals the truth about offshore. These documents contain countless stories about the rich and powerful and how they hide their wealth. The world leaders with secrets to hide.
Þú ert að spyrja mig einhverju tóma vitleysu. Þú platar mig við tala á fölskum forsendum.
Our documents show why people use tax havens. A world so secret, we might never get to know the truth.
That property in North London, did you make, you must have made about £1 million on that. Did you tell the taxman about that?
Tonight, we go inside the Panamanian company that helps the rich and powerful hide their wealth.
These weren't Robin Hood robbers, you know, they were really nasty, vicious men.
It was a brutal robbery. 3 tons of gold stolen from the Brinks-Mat warehouse near London.
Can you just imagine the fear? You're lying there, you can't see what's happening. There's a bloke flicking a lighter saying he's going to set fire to all this petrol.
Gold was melted down and sold, and cash was hidden offshore.
When were you last down here then? About 1987, I would think. Long time ago now.
Former detective Billy Miller's job was to find the money, and some of it had been spent on property. This house in Kent was bought with Brinks-Mat loot, using a secret Panamanian front company.
Why would this house then be owned by a Panamanian
3,
company?
2,
Well, it's just a cover.
1.
You would think, yeah, it doesn't belong to a launderer of Brinks-Mat. It's this company owns it, so it must be okay, you know.
Now we have found a crucial memo. The organisation which helped create the front company carried on working for the client, even after being warned they were involved with the proceeds of the famous robbery at Brinks-Mat in London.
What's clear, crystal clear as you can see, is that the people who were helping them keep the money out of your reach knew that it was from the Brinks-Mat robbery.
Mm-hmm. Well, once they knew that it was from the Brinks-Mat gold bullion robbery, they should have washed their hands of it and should have known what to do with it, so it makes them as bad as the man who bought the house.
In the end, the police managed to trace most of the Brinksmat loot, though it took years. What's shocking is the company that helped launder some of the cash has never stopped working.
Welcome to Panama. It's a long way from criminal gangs in London. It's carnival, but Panama makes much of its living as an important tax haven. Billions of dollars a year flow through this tiny Central American country. Panama helps you hide your wealth.
What Panama sells is secrecy. You can go to Panama and you can get a foundation or a trust or a company, and you can use those complicated, slightly strange structures to hide and disguise your ownership and control of assets.
And Panama is the home of one of the world's biggest providers of offshore services. Mossack Fonseca has offices in 27 countries. It's the company that helped the Brinksmat robbers.
From outside, Mossack Fonseca looks like a perfectly respectable company. But this is a business that's helped people from around the world break the law.
We know because 11 million documents from Mossack Fonseca have been leaked. They were handed to a German newspaper, Süddeutsche Zeitung. It shared them with the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. Together with The Guardian and more than 100 media organisations around the world, we've been analysing them.
I think the leak will prove to be probably the biggest blow the offshore world has ever taken because of the extent of the documents. They span over a 40-year period, and they really tell the day-to-day, almost point by point, of the offshore world.
We found links to 72 current or former heads of state, including dictators accused of looting their countries.
So what is it that Mossack Fonseca does to attract all these clients? Well, they hide your involvement in a company, so no one will know. So nobody knew about the secret company of the Icelandic Prime Minister, Sigmundur Gunnlaugsson. It was an offshore company called Wintris, and he and his wife had shares in it. It held her family wealth. But nobody knew his wife had interests in Iceland's banks worth millions of dollars. And nobody knew she could potentially benefit from her husband's policies to help the banks. They do now.
Ég kann ekki einu svona á þetta allt saman, en allt gefið upp til skatts frá upphafi. Ég meina, hvað eignir þín í félagi? Platan mig í viðtal og... Þú seldir þinn hlut í félaginu fyrir $1. Nei. Þú ert að spyrja mig einhverju tóma vitleysu. Þú platan mig í viðtal og fölskum fórsendum. Ég með undirskiptina. Já. Viltu sjá hana? Já.
Mr. Gunnlaugsson says his wife was the true owner and didn't benefit financially from his decisions. But he never declared an interest to the Icelandic Parliament. Today, he is facing calls for his resignation. Mr. Gunnlaugsson says he has not broken any rules. Some of the deals we have found are a bit more sophisticated. Mossack Fonseca helped set up what seems to be a billion-dollar money laundering operation involving close associates of Vladimir Putin. This is Sergei Roldugin, a famous cellist and one of President Putin's oldest friends.
How close are Putin and Roldugin now?
They remain very close. Roldugin is the godfather of Putin's oldest daughter, Maria. I think he's one of those people who remains part of the personal inner circle, and close to him on a level that's more intimate than certainly any government official.
But the documents show it's a relationship someone wanted to hide.
This is an application for a bank account for one of his companies, and it asks whether Mr. Roldugin has any relations to politically exposed persons, or PEPs. And the answer here is no, and that is simply not true.
So why hide it? Well, it could be the suspicious deals being carried out under Mr. Roldugin's name. Take this example. One of the companies owned by the cellist borrows $6 million. 3 months later, the loan is written off for just $1. The company's been given $6 million. In another suspicious deal, the offshore company buys the rights to the repayments on a $200 million loan, again for $1. Why would anyone want to give all this money to a cellist?
There's nothing that I have seen which would make me do anything other than say, stop, we need to investigate very closely what's going on here.
To you, does it look like money laundering?
Yes, it does look like money laundering to me, for sure.
The deals were managed by Bank Russia, which was described as the personal bank for senior Russian officials when it was sanctioned by the US government. The Mossack Fonseca files show highly complex deals in the name of a cellist who runs a music school. So what's going on?
If a man who says to you he's not a businessman has his name over deals worth hundreds of millions, would you imagine that those deals and that money is being held for somebody else?
I would. I would not imagine that he was somebody who controlled a vast financial empire.
Mr. Roldugin hasn't answered our questions. So is he simply a frontman for somebody else?
It looks to me as though he is an instrument. Who is playing him as an instrument it is unclear.
Why does this leak matter in the UK? Well, for starters, 100,000 properties here are owned by offshore companies. It's all about secrecy and often about avoiding tax. This is Nick Hague, a millionaire property investor. The Mossack Fonseca files show he owned UK properties through a secret offshore company.
So this is Islington in North London. It's wealthy, it's fashionable, very sought after. Now Nick Hague, he owned one of the houses on this street and he sold it for a whacking great profit. But did he tell the taxman?
He sold the house for nearly £1 million more than he bought it for. In an email, Mr. Hague told me his offshore company fully complied with HMRC legislation in 2014 in relation to the disposal of this property.
But is that the full story, or is it really about sleight of hand? That Mr. Hague is trying to look like his offshore company is in charge, when really it's him?
It's a Mossack Fonseca speciality to help investors like Mr. Hague pretend they're not running their own company. Directors can be hired to rubber stamp decisions.
You can be sold a nominee. That means that someone will put their name down on the company documents, whereas in fact you're behind there in the shadows pulling the strings.
That's exactly what Mr. Hague is doing. So what's the advantage? Well, if his offshore company is managed overseas, it might not be taxed here in the UK. Richard Brooks is a former tax inspector who now writes for Private Eye.
The structure serves two purposes. One, it keeps the ultimate ownership of all these things secret, and it also enables you to claim that any profits you make on these properties are tax-free.
If HMRC saw all this, what would they make of it?
I'm pretty sure they would have some tough questions for Mr. Hague.
Hiya, I'm Richard Bilton from BBC Panorama.
I want to know if Mr. Hague has a genuine reason for running his business in this way.
That property in North London, you must have made about £1 million on that. Did you tell the taxman about that?
Richard, you've had my answer via email.
Yeah, but these are such
Okay, Richard, I've given you my answer.
What is that then? Does the taxman know about that money? He should know, shouldn't he?
Are you deaf?
I'm not deaf, but I'm interested to know. There's no problem with me.
Listen.
I'm just trying to get straight answers from you, and that's
Richard,
proving a bit more difficult, to be honest.
No, Richard,
Yeah.
with all due respect, I gave you my answer via email.
Yeah.
You've had it.
Yes.
Made my position clear.
Right.
And that's all I've got to say.
I know, but there are some problems with that.
There isn't, Richard.
Do you control an offshore company that you
Richard,
don't tell the taxman? Because I
Richard,
think that you might.
You've got to stop laughing. Okay?
I'm interested. These
Richard,
are serious issues. I'm smiling because you are having a go at me,
Listen,
but I'm interested
Richard,
to know what you think.
I'm armed with a baguette, okay? So I'm not having a go at you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Have you told the taxman that you control that company?
I have already made my position clear. Have a good day.
Mr. Hague's lawyer later told us he had always acted within the law and his arrangements were a matter for his advisors and HMRC.
He made his position clear, he says. Not to me, I have to say. We still think that that's a man who controls an offshore interest but pretends that he doesn't.
Mossack Fonseca say the services they provide are commonly used worldwide, and they are responsible members of the global financial and business community. They strongly disagree that their primary function is to facilitate tax avoidance and evasion. But dig around in the files, and it's clear that a lot of their business is about tax.
This memo gives the game away. It was written by one of the partners of Mossack Fonseca, and it says in Spanish that 95% of our work consists in selling vehicles to avoid taxes.
The Prime Minister's late father was one of those who used Mossack Fonseca's services. The files show Ian Cameron helped set up a company in Panama. They wanted to attract investors to put their money in a fund, so they made sure it never paid UK tax. Mr. Cameron and other directors would fly to the Bahamas for board meetings so they could say the company was run offshore. But there is more. The Mossack Fonseca files reveal investors held their stake through bearer shares. Now, they were used widely at the time, but are now banned in many countries because they can be used for money laundering and tax evasion.
Bearer share is a piece of paper saying that you own a share of a company. There doesn't have to be any other record other than that piece of paper, which means that you can hide your ownership of bearer shares. And when it comes to declaring what assets, what wealth you have, what income you have, it really leaves it just to you and your conscience.
It was Ian Cameron's son who banned bearer shares in the UK last year. The Prime Minister has been demanding greater transparency from tax havens.
So that's why we need to shine a spotlight on who owns what and where money is really flowing. And today I'm delighted to announce that not only is that register going to go ahead, but it's also going to be open to the public.
He's introducing a register of beneficial owners that will list the ultimate owners of UK companies. But we have discovered that Mossack Fonseca is prepared to help clients get around even such in-depth checks. This is Mariana Olszewski.
I wanted to earn enough money so I can create the life I really wanted to, and I did.
She's a business guru and life coach.
It's all about living the life of your dreams and taking control of your money.